Hello, this is Rachel from 7 and All, and today here I have brought on a special guest, my mom, to interview. If you've been watching 7 and All for the past couple years, you know that you show up once in a while. I convince her to make a video with me. My mom has homeschooled many children over many decades at this point, several decades at this point, and today we are going to start off by talking about what, in your opinion, is the number one thing that hinders a child from progressing in their learning journey?
My answer might surprise many people because they're probably envisioning something rather dramatic, like, oh, my child has dyslexia, they have dyscalculia, they have a hearing impairment, they've had massive trauma, their dad died, or like something super dramatic. But it's usually not really big issues. It's usually something like whininess, not cooperating, dysfunctional relationships between mom and student. It's much more basic. It's a value system, and it's immaturity, and it's not being able to do a good day's work. It's those kind of things that are really going to hinder a child's development and their homeschooling journey.
And yes, this is really a pattern that we can see even as we study history, because we're so used to thinking we must have grace for people and we must have compassion for people who are going through hardships, and we can apply that to our kids. And yes, we can definitely meet our children with grace and compassion, and we indeed should be. But it's not actually hardship that stops people from progressing or stops people from achieving things. And this is something that we know when we study history, when we study literature, because how many stories can you think of just off the top of your head of individuals who faced unimaginable hardships of war and of loss and of tragedy and trauma in their families, or physical hardships that they needed to overcome, and they overcame them. What makes those people different from a child who has maybe just more typical small hindrances in their everyday life, small battles to overcome? What is it that sets kids who can face really tough things apart from kids who meet maybe smaller battles or maybe still big battles and they just crumple?
Right. And so an idea of resilience, and an idea of just the old-fashioned bravery, courage, fortitude, stick to it kind of ideas, where it's like there can be an obstacle, like my brother took my pencil and I cannot emotionally readjust to engage in any learning
because I'm using a different pencil than the pencil I wanted to use.
Right, because I am so overwhelmed by not getting the pencil that I wanted that my life is over. And I kid you not, if there are moms listening to this video, they know this happens. They know that something so minuscule can throw a day's worth of learning out the window. And then a mom tries to compensate. Well, let's make sure Billy gets the pencil he wants. And I would say, don't. And we're going to get a little more into that. But how do we actually build resilience in the life of our children? And it's not by making their world perfect for them and getting them the pencil that they want.
So we're really talking here about building a value for resilience, and then also the skills required for resilience, for perseverance, even when times are tough, whether those are small tough times or big gigantic tough times. So you have actually written a new resource, which is available on our website for $2.99. Available on our website as a printable And we normally create curriculum. This is a little bit different from most of the curriculum resources we offer. It is excuses exposed, and it's speaking to this skill of building a value for resilience.
Right.
So what is excuses exposed?
Okay, so Excuses Exposed is a curriculum that's actually designed to have conversations over a series of time that will help mom and student explore the issue of making excuses and lead to discussion questions. And its whole aim is to explore where are our values coming from when it comes to making excuses, and explore why we make excuses and what we hope to gain from that. And so it's a whole series of conversations.
So Excuses Exposed doesn't really fit into a neat box. Like, it's not a math learning resource, or it's not a phonics learning resource. It's not a grammar learning resource. So kind of where do you see this fitting into a homeschool routine, or what gave you the idea that this was a need for families?
Okay. When I work with children, and I work with children other than my own, what I'm seeing repeatedly as the number one detriment to their progress is their value system, is their own commitment to let's do hard things. And hard things are what maybe in olden days, okay, this is considered hard. The bar has moved so far down. So what would have been considered very, very easy, very, very basic, people would have kind of been embarrassed to call it hard. Kids have no shame into, oh, this is so terribly hard and difficult. 2 minutes invested in time is just like too long. And so it really is reflective of what do they value and what do they expect. So this is, I would say, it's more important than math. It's more important than English. It's more important than Spanish or your foreign language, because it sets the value to what am I going to bring to those activities. Am I going to bring curiosity? Am I going to bring a can-do attitude? Am I going to bring, I can pay attention for more than 2 minutes and I don't die from that. So it's building both an expectation, both in the teacher and in the student, of what's normal. Doing hard things is a normal, expected part of everyday life. And our definition of what is hard in time has actually changed. And hard now becomes the definition of something I don't like or enjoy. That's not hard. So, maybe climbing Mount Everest, that's hard,
Finishing a math lesson.
This is not hard. So we need to really get to challenge, just because somebody says, oh, it's so hard, doesn't make it true. And so we need to challenge falsehood, and the truth will set us free. And we need to set ourselves free as moms to be like, this is not hard, and you're not being a meanie mom by making your kid read a page. Or you're not the meanie mom, you're not actually asking them to do hard things. And your kid is not actually doing hard things, no matter how much they whine. And so as we reframe and as we explore in times of non-conflict, which is very important, we're having a discussion, we're actually exploring an issue, but at that moment, we're not doing math and we're not doing English. So it is at a time of non-conflict that we can just open our hearts, open our brains to, what do I do? What do I think about doing hard things? What do I think about actually making an effort? What do I think about being challenged? And explore our thoughts and our decision making in a time when I'm not at that moment actually doing it. So it's kind of a safe way to explore an issue.
So Excuses Exposed is supposed to give you conversation prompts, give you short readings and thought exercises you can do with your child. And you're not doing these in the moment of they're struggling right now with doing a hard time thing and making excuses. This is outside the moment, so that then when those moments happen, they're equipped with some new ideas and some different thoughts on what do excuses really say about my values, and what do my choices say about my values.
Right, and it gives you a vocabulary list. I mean, in a way, you have a vocabulary to discuss the issue. And you also have kind of, I'm going to call it a flashlight. Once an excuse has been exposed, once you know a term, like that's a topic shift, you're evading responsibility. Once we have these kind of terms, then their little tricks don't work so well. And we have a tool in our mommy pocket to pull out and say, I know how to fix this. I know what to bring to this conversation. So it's like, okay, having tools to bring to conversations helps both the mom and the student.
All right, so you feel very strongly that making excuses inhibits the child from developing and maturing. Can you explain how just a simple excuse can really be that powerful?
Okay, so I love math, so I'm going to give a math example. 2 times 10 is 20, and 2 times 100 is 200, but 2 times 0 is 0, or 1,000,000 times 0 is 0. Excuses are a 0 factor. I can have the best curriculum in the world, and then it meets an excuse, and then voila, the kid learns nothing. Or I can be the most interactive, best teacher in the world, most science projects, everything. And then it runs into an excuse, and it comes to nothing. Excuses are so super powerful, but they're also really weak, just like a 0. So once they're exposed, they're powerless. So I am talking about something that can be so super powerful and so weak at the same time. And that's why I want to expose them.
And here's our flashlight, by the way, there, for Excuses Exposed, shining a light on the destructiveness that excuses can do, but shining a light not just to raise awareness, but to actually do something about it, to actually make constructive progress. All right, so you wanted to bring awareness to the destructive habit of making excuses. Were there any specific excuses that inspired this project?
Yes, and these all come from real life examples, and I have a whole list of them, and many of them didn't actually make it into the curriculum. And so I want to give an example of one that didn't. So you have to buy the curriculum for the good ones. So one time I'm teaching in a class, and a new smart board had been installed, and we had one little child that just could not stop touching this smart board. And so we explained all the rules. Okay, you can't touch the smart board, and she just kept it up. And so I asked her one day, why is it you can't stop touching the smart board? And she looked straight at me and she says, my stomach hurts. It was so hard not to laugh. I was like, oh, we have no self-control to keep our hands off the smartboard because your stomach hurts. It's like, and what part of touching the smartboard is going to make your stomach feel better? And she was confused and shocked, and she's like, my stomach hurts. I was like, okay. And we went on to explore that issue. But that is the kind of thing I want to expose. Like, don't get drawn into, okay, we can deal with your stomach hurting at some other time. Let's focus on, we are made by God. We have self-control. We don't have to touch smartboards. And then speak truth into a child's life.
So the next question is, how can you tell when your child is making an excuse versus when they're having a real problem? Because she could really have a stomachache, right?
Sure. And the thing is, they have nothing to do with each other. Excuse, it doesn't matter whether it's an excuse or a real problem. real problems exist, and real problems require solutions. So let me give you an example of a real problem. My second daughter has dyslexia, and that could have been an excuse to do a poor job in her academics because reading is a struggle and other things are a struggle. But we just addressed the problem of dyslexia and then did the work to overcome that problem. So I'm not saying problems don't exist. I'm saying problems have solutions. One key to overcoming problems is to identify them and then solve them. Don't use it as an excuse of, oh, my stomach hurts, so I can't have self-control. I have dyslexia, so I can't be a hardworking student who achieves academic success. It's like, no, you have dyslexia, so let's work hard and overcome that. So I would say treat a problem as something to be solved, as something to be worked through, not as an excuse to, okay, now I don't have to be a nice person and I don't have to work hard and I don't have to have any self-control.
All right, so tell us more about the design of this curriculum. How's it supposed to work? We've got short lessons in here that you can read with exercises at the end.
I would suggest going through this very slowly. At most one, maybe 2 lessons a week, 3 at the most, because it takes time to change the way we think about things. So read the short reading, do the exercise, which there's a lot of exercises, is like make a list. Like make a list.
Just need a notebook.
Yeah. Make a list of as
Brainstorm.
many excuses as you know of now. And then as you find more, you'll find them in movies, you'll find them in books, you'll find them in your own home. Add to that list, and then there'll be other exercises. So don't go through this quickly, because the first time someone tells you, hey, excuses are bad, you're like, oh, they're not that bad. But the idea will start to grow, and the reasons why they are so damaging will start to grow, but you need to give it time. So this needs to come back to again and again and again. So just go through it slowly, read the little lesson, have your discussion, and then even if at the moment, like, I kind of don't agree with this, that's okay. Don't agree with it right away. Let the ideas sit, and then you'll see as life goes on, oh, I'm seeing the effects of how excuses are damaging my life and the life of others around me. Okay, now I get it. So even for ourselves, it takes a while to really come to terms with this is not good. These excuses really are, they're really bad.
So is there some specific concept addressed in the curriculum that you really want to share as like a sneak peek?
Okay. So the beginning part of the curriculum is based on the life story of Adam and Eve. And they are, of course, the classic excuse makers. And one of their excuses was, okay, I hid because I'm naked. And that is a classic topic shift. So changing the topic. It's like, what am I asking you? So this often happens with children. It's like you're asking them, why are you touching the whiteboard? And they're topic shifting to my stomach hurts. And so to force the idea of, okay, stomachs can hurt, let's stay on one topic and then we can move to the other thing. There's many different techniques, like we call it a parking lot. I really want to talk to you about your hurting stomach. First, we're going to talk about touching whiteboards. Later on, we can shift to another topic, but I like to identify it. Give yourself, is this a nakedness topic shift? So just giving it a term, kind of, you caught me. I'm doing a nakedness topic shift right
when
now.
When they already have the context
when they
of
have,
Adam and Eve.
Then they have the story, and they have the term, and mommy, you have the term, and you are now aware of, oh, I thought I had to follow my child through conversations as they led me. And no, you know what? You can say, no, that's not what we're talking about right now. Right now we're talking about why you stole your brother's pencil, or we're talking about why you didn't finish your math paper, or something else, and we're not going to go to, I had a fight with my friend last week. Okay, parking lot. We're not going to do a nakedness topic shift right now. We're going to focus on the issue we're actually talking about.
Now, in the curriculum, you identify a number of what you call tricky excuses, which don't quite sound like excuses. And one of those is, I did. So this is when your child, studies for they take a test and they fail it spectacularly, or they have a performance and they're completely underprepared. And you say, well, why didn't you study? Why didn't you prepare? And they answer with, I did.
Yep, or it could be, I cleaned my room,
yeah.
and it's still super messy.
And you walk in the room and it's
you're like, and what they mean is like, I picked up a toy, or I read through my spelling test. So then you get into a fight about whether they did or didn't, or whether picking up one toy is part of cleaning your room, or like I read through my spelling words or something like this. So this is an excuse, and you have to come back to, did you do it to the extent that at the end would have achieved whatever the goal is? So I like to ask for evidence. So
what is the evidence?
What is the evidence that you did? And so I could say, if someone cleaned their room, what would I see? I would see a clean room. So I'm looking for evidence. If someone prepared adequately for a test, what would I see? I would see a good grade on this test. If someone prepared for their piano recital, what would I hear? I'm not talking perfection, but it wouldn't be a total bomb. So there is a expectation that I did it to the extent that there is evidence. And then, oh my goodness, you're gonna look for evidence? I can't just yell, I did, I super did. Okay, show it to me. That's all. Then we can stop arguing. Show me
an argument.
It's not an argument.
Evidence.
Show me the proof.
Yeah, so really learning about excuses is with the goal of being able to acknowledge personal responsibility. The thing that life doesn't just happen to me. I play an active role in my life. I have responsibility. I take responsibility for my actions. And sometimes, kid or adult, sometimes my actions are not right. And I don't need to excuse that away, justify it, point the finger in every other direction except for me. I need to be able to point the finger in the right direction and say, I am taking responsibility. The ability to take responsibility for one's own actions will do a world of good for your child's maturing process, to realize, oh, it was my fault. I didn't get in trouble because of Papa or because of Mama. I got in trouble because of me and the choices that I made. So is there anything, while you have the floor, is there anything else you'd like to say on the topic of excuses?
Well, I've already said it, but I do want to say it again. Do not underestimate the damage that this kind of mentality has. And part of it, I think, is cultural. People don't like to hear this from old people, but in the olden days, there was a culture that kind of helped mitigate excuses, because people were more taught, don't make excuses. Don't let yourself off the hook.
And people didn't pet excuses or act like, oh, okay, I understand.
Yeah, and people weren't like, please tell me about 5 or 6 different excuses so that I don't have to, be a tough guy. And I think in more modern days, it's like, oh, they were sad, so they can't do their work sad, or they were disappointed, or they were they had a toothache, so they had to beat up their brother. The pain makes people lose self-control, and you have to say, no, it doesn't. Or disappointment makes people lose the ability to work. No, it doesn't. And so you need to meet these, it's false. It's just lies. And you need to meet these lies with truth. And out of a kind of, we want to be kind and gentle and understanding, and those are all good things, but you do it from a standpoint of truth. You say, you can be a nice person and in pain at the same time. And you can push yourself to do hard things and not get like, yay, finishing a math paper is not climbing Mount Everest. It's just normal. And I don't know exactly how this happened, but there's kind of been a shift where normal everyday things, cleaning your room, cleaning a bathroom, doing your schoolwork, is now like, you're extraordinarily amazing. Oh, wait, and it's like,
No, bathrooms just need to be clean.
that's just basic, that's just ordinary, no prize needed. And this excuse making has reached epidemic proportions. And I would say, I want the truth to set moms and children free.
Because we want to be kind, but we as parents really need a mental shift to say it's not actually kind to our children to let them make excuses and shirk their responsibilities as humans, as brothers, as daughters, as in their relationships, in their work. It's not actually kind to our kids. So shifting an idea of what kindness would be teaching our kids the character that they need, the resilience and the perseverance that's going to help them meet the very real tragedies and disappointments of life.
Yeah, the fact of the matter is, life is hard and it's filled with bitter disappointments, obstacles every day. But the story of humanity is one of resilience and overcoming. And we want to tell that story in our families.
So, this is mainly aimed at preteens through teens, which is the years when those excuses can really become a problem. Although if your kids are younger, I do encourage you, get started now on building the habits of taking responsibility rather than coddling excuses. You can find this on our website for $2.99. I encourage you, get started in building this worldview in your kids. It will change their lives and it will change your family. All right, till next time, I'll be seeing you. Bye.